Welcome to Choosing Adoption. I'm Donna Pope, and this podcast supports expectant parents considering adoption and birth parents after placement. Through real stories and guidance shared with clarity, faith, and compassion, we will connect you with others who offer their insights and experiences that will empower you and provide you support. Hi, we're here, and we're having record a conversation in the car.
Yeah.
I'm here with Daliya, and I just wanted to have this conversation with her and kind of get a little feel for how she feels about things. So I'm going to start out with the question. You ready for the question?
Yes.
When you find out that you are pregnant and you're trying to make the decision, what am I going to do? What are some of the things that go through your head?
I think you factor in all aspects of it. It's like, can I do it? Do I want to do it? Do I have the means to do it? Or you also think like, okay, maybe I am able to give someone else something that they can't have.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe something that they just can't do. A lot of people can't get pregnant. So it's like, if I could bless another family, then let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that. Now, you did a placement how many years ago?
It was 6 years ago. Roughly about 6 years ago now.
And how did that go? Where did you deliver? Who did you decide on?
So that one, I actually came to Utah, and I didn't make it to the hospital. I actually delivered it home in the apartment. And that one was a little bit different because everything was just so fast paced. I didn't really have that time with the agency or like to get to know people. It was like I was here, I came to Utah 2 days later, I gave birth, and then the next day I was home. So I didn't really get like the full experience of the agency.
So why did you want to come?
Well, I wanted to come to Utah originally because I thought that it would just be easier and just better for the family. Like at that time, I was younger, I did my own research, and I saw that like Pennsylvania is one of the harder states to go through that process with, and there's a lot of other things that are needed. So last minute I made the decision, like, I'm just going to come to Utah. That's where the family is, and it would just be easier on all parties involved.
Did you feel forced or coerced or?
No, that was definitely my decision, and they definitely accommodated. Like, I called, I reached out, and a day later I was in Utah. It was like that fast.
And you weren't here for very long.
No, I was here for like 4 days, if that.
And then you did another one that was in Philadelphia.
And then the one in Philadelphia, I couldn't make it to Utah. I had plans on coming to Utah that time, and labor just happened, and we had it scheduled out, and I had already gave birth, so I just couldn't make it to Utah. So that one was a little bit different. The time after is not like Utah. In Pennsylvania, I think it's 72 hours. So I had to wait until I had to sign.
Did you like that, or did you not like that?
I think for me it didn't matter either way. Like, my mind was set, but I guess for people that's like maybe want to, they're not sure, they want to take some time, maybe the 3 days is a lot, or maybe, I don't know. Sometimes it's different, when you go home and now, you done left the hospital. So for me, it just was like, I could have just did this at the hospital, because now, 3 days later, I just gave birth. Now I got to come back out. I got to do these things. So that was the only difference.
Yeah. So it's just another thing.
Yeah.
Did the baby stay in the hospital during that time?
Yes.
Oh, so that was good.
Yeah.
Because it would be harder if you had to take the baby home and figure that stuff
so
out.
Good. Thankfully, they let you sign over a guardianship paper. That's not really nothing legal. It's nothing set in stone. They just give the family the time to actually be at the hospital with the baby, so that way you don't have to stay.
Yeah.
But then they don't have to follow any of the regular visiting hours. They are able to stay. They don't have to leave. And they are basically making any medical decisions for the baby on your behalf.
Because it seems to me like one thing that's really important is that the baby's not just left alone.
Yeah.
But the family can actually be there and be a part of it.
Yeah. And actually with that, like here in Utah, it was a little bit different. Like they kind of gave us a hard way to go a little bit. So even though I signed the guardianship paper here in Utah, they were still kind of having a hard time with giving over access to the family, even though I signed that paper.
So the hospital was kind of a little reluctant to let the family get involved. They wanted you to stay involved.
Like the family was there. They was in the room. Everything was fine. We met. They seen me in the room. We all was in the room with the baby. And then after I left, when it came time for like the medical bills and decisions and the baby gonna have to stay, just one more day, they were kind of giving them a hard way to go. Even though I signed the guardianship paper, they were just like, we never really saw that paper before. We're just going to put it in a file, but basically it doesn't mean nothing. So thankfully, by the time I left the hospital, I was already at my 24 hours. So I was able to sign the paper. So me and the family both agreed, like, we're ready to sign the paper. We could do it now. In that way, you guys don't have to go through this. Because they
wanted to leave. You wanted to leave the hospital. You wanted to go. Right.
I was fine to leave. So once, after everything was said and done, the family would have to leave. And then the baby is just in the hospital by himself until we actually sign all of the paperwork and it actually give them full power. Yeah. Because they wasn't recognizing the guardianship people.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
So it was good that I gave birth at 5 o'clock. So my 24 hours was at 5 o'clock and the visiting hours was until 9 p.m. So they gave us time for me to sign and then for them to sign. And then by the time visiting hours were over, the family already had all the access that they needed.
Yeah. No, that made it
Which
easier.
made it easier. Yeah.
There's some people that argue, well, you should wait 72 hours because that way it gives you time to change your mind or make your decision. What do you think about that?
I think for me, just going through it, most of the time, it's not a decision you come to lightly. So you have months in time to think about your decision so that you know that you're sure in your decision. And I always tell people, like, sometimes, like, I don't want you to forget, and I say every time we feel a movement, every time we feel a baby move, every time we have heartburn, it's a constant reminder, which means that decision is on our mind 24/7. Which means every time we feel those movements, I know for me, I think about it like, this is my decision. I know I'm setting my decision. This is what I want to do. So I don't think the time limit after has any bearing on whether you're going to change your mind or not. Yeah. Most people know if they're going to change their mind before they change their mind. Yeah. Especially with a decision as big as that. It's not last minute.
Another thing people often will say is they'll say, you should stay where you're at. You should stay. If you're from Pennsylvania, stay in Pennsylvania. What do you think about that?
No, I think I've experienced both, staying in Pennsylvania and then also coming to another state. And I would just say I like coming to another state better.
Why?
Because I look at it as, yes, I'm from Pennsylvania, but if the family is not from Pennsylvania, now it's a lot more that comes into that. Sometimes they can't travel right away with a newborn, so now they're there for an unlimited amount of time. That becomes another struggle with just traveling with the baby. Some of them have other children. It becomes harder for everybody, and specifically harder for the baby. No one wants to travel with a newborn.
Yeah. So if they're there, it's nice to hang out.
So I feel like if you can come to the state where your family is at, then I would definitely say come. Because you also get to experience another state. I know for me, this time my son came and he absolutely loved it. Like, he loved it.
Show a picture of that cute kid.
So we made
out here. Oh, look at you being shy.
So we made a vacation of it to where as though he got to have fun.
Yeah. So did you feel like, oh, you had to leave your support system? And
No, absolutely not. Because I know for me, not really my support system, but my son's support system was my nephew, and that was definitely accommodated.
And so he came, but he had to go back because he had to start at school.
But I feel like whatever support system that you have and that you need, the agency is really good with making sure that you are comfortable.
Yeah. So do you feel like, okay, let's suppose that you got here and for whatever reason you changed your mind.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think would happen?
I think from the agency perspective, it would definitely be respected. If I changed my mind or I decided, hey, I don't want to be here anymore, I want to go back to Pennsylvania, I don't want to have the baby here, I'm sure whichever way I would have went, the agency would have followed my lead. And if I decided to stay with the agency and I decided to just go back to Pennsylvania, I'm sure Sharon would have came with me.
She would have.
And made sure that everything still was fine there in Pennsylvania.
She really cares about you.
Yes, I said at no part did I feel like forced. Like, well, you here now, so you have to be here. You have to stay here. I've never felt that.
Okay.
Or felt like that.
So, one of the things that you toyed with the idea is doing it without an agency. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. My experience, and I would say just without the agency, I wouldn't recommend it. Just for birth moms in particular, it's not geared towards us. It may be geared towards the family. It may be less expensive for the family, but when it comes down to having your advocate and having someone that's there to back you and have your best interests and speak for you, privately you don't have that. It's basically just you, and then you have the family, and then you have their attorney. You might talk to the people that may do their home studies. So it seems like, from my point of view, they have a lot of people on their side. In their head, they have a lot of people offering them guidance and giving them help and letting them know which way that they should go. And you don't really have no one there to help voice your opinions, or sometimes you can't be heard. It's no one there to back you. It's just basically you don't have an advocate. There's no one to speak for you. So sometimes it can feel overwhelming, and it basically comes down to, for my experience, it was private, was good for the family, it was best for them, their needs, but my needs weren't taken into consideration or even a factor in any of it. So I would never recommend it. I would definitely stick with the agency.
So when you think about what are the things you need the most, what I usually kind of put it into 5 categories. I usually put it in the categories of physical needs, support and emotional needs, the relationship with the family, and then an ongoing relationship. Well, that's kind of how I sort of break it up. But how would you think what you need to be able to do an adoption? What would you say?
I would just say all around support. Because in all those categories, you would definitely need the support physically, mentally, the emotional aspect of it. I feel like long as you have the support and you have people there that are willing to support you in the way that you need to be supported, then I think you'll be fine. Sometimes people tend to I want to help, and they may think that they're helping because that's how they want to be helped. But once they realize how you need to be helped and how you need to be supported, as long as you have that, I feel like...
Explain that just a little bit more. What do you mean by that?
Because I feel like when I tried private with the family, the things that they were offering would have been what she had wanted. So if I would have came out, instead of me staying in the hotel with my son, it would be, let's stay at the house with the family. And while it sounds like, I just want you to be comfortable, I want you to have people, I want you to be around people, and it's something that they would have wanted, but it's not what I have wanted. So it wasn't what had made me comfortable. That's not what makes me happy. So for me, I was trying to explain, yes, for you, you may want that, and that's fine and dandy, that's okay. But for me, I need space. And sometimes I need time. So me being around the family 24/7 and around my other children is a lot. So for me, that's not what made me happy. But it wasn't understood. That, like, you know, I'm not saying I don't want to be around you. I'm saying sometimes I need my space.
Well, why do you think that they didn't understand that? Was it a lack of communication? What was the problem there?
It was a lack of just listening. Because even though I said it, and being as though this is people that I have history with, it should have been a little different. You know, they know me. They know sometimes I could be very outspoken, and they know other times I could be very introverted. And then when you talk about having a closed adoption versus an open adoption, and for me, mine was closed. So when you look at, you have a closed adoption, you don't want to be in a home with your family or your children because you opted for closed. That was your choice. That was what you had made. And not once, but twice. So I feel like once you know, like, hey, this is closed, we don't really have too much of a communication. I may get pictures once or twice a year, and that's closed. So when you go from closed to having it just like fully open,
that was a little too much.
It was a little too much, and it was a little too fast, especially when you talk about blended families and, you know, my son, and you have to explain different things to children. It would have been a lot. But they didn't understand that it was a lot, and it was taken as I don't want to be around them or I don't care about them, and not just, that's just my boundary and where I was in the process. And then, you know, going through it a third time, and then when you're bored with your past two is just like right in front of you, that would be a lot for anybody to deal with, I think.
So speaking of the family, how important is it to have a good relationship with the adoptive family? And what were you looking at as you were considering who you wanted?
I think I have a different outlook now, because even when, you know, with the family that I have now, I went into it with, you know, what I went through with the last family. I don't want no contact. I don't really want to speak. You know, we could have words through the agency, but that would be as far as I would go. And as I got closer, and as they kept sending encouraging messages, as I kept going to the hospital, I keep getting sent home. Every time they drive up here, no problem. Even though I get sent home, they still take the drive. They're sending encouraging messages through my support system with the agency. And then I thought about it, and I was like, okay, well, I shouldn't penalize them for something that they did not do. So even though I had this other family and things did not go well, I don't want to put that on them and possibly shut down a door to what could be beautiful.
Yeah.
So I thought about it, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to meet them before I leave the hospital. You know, I'm going to see them. And it was different. It was good, because I say, you know, this time I actually held the baby. Never done that before.
Okay.
It was just my choice. I just never did it.
And so what was different? Why did you decide to this time?
I could just say, I don't want to say like the vibes was just, it was just different. The conversation that I had with the family, Garrick just being from Philadelphia, that was something that we had in common. So it was like almost like we bonded, which is what I didn't have before. So it was like, you know, I wouldn't have thought about holding the baby, or I wouldn't have thought about taking a picture, or, you know, a text message and a picture was as far as I wanted it to go in the past. But then I say, you know, this time, even though I didn't hide the past two from my son, he just wasn't curious. And I say now, this time he was curious, so he did ask questions. And
did he get to meet the family and stuff like that?
Now we're going to do that.
We're going to do that now.
But, and it was like, you know, before it wasn't a thing. You know, this time it was like.
Are you excited?
It was like, Mom, I want to feel the baby kick. Like, let me know when the baby kicks. So now this time it's like, okay, now he's involved. So then if I asked him, like, hey, do you want to meet the family? And he said, yeah. So it's like, okay, so now those doors are open. Because it's not just me I have to worry about, it's my son. But maybe those doors would have been open before, and I just didn't know.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't open to it.
So this has been a little bit of a different experience.
Yeah,
this time.
for sure. Definitely different
And so,
all around the board.
having the chance to hold the baby and spend time with the baby and the family, how was that?
It just happened naturally. Like, it was just really like I was getting ready to leave the hospital, and Sharon just was like, well, hey, they want to see you, just give you a hug. Do you want to stop pads? And it was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll do that. Because I think from the moment I even heard about him, it was just all good vibes. And even though, I felt bad, and I'm like, they keep driving here, and the hospital keeps sending me home. I feel so bad. They're like an hour away. They done came here 3 times, and then the hospital sent me home, and every time they drove here with no problem. I mean, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and every time they take the drive, I felt so bad. And Sharon just like, they just said, like, don't worry about it. They will come a million times if that's what it takes. So it was just always, I guess, that. And, they're telling Sharon, like, just let her know we're praying for her. She need anything, let us know. So the support was already there. It was already given. I just had to be open to taking the support. Which it took me some time, and then I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready for this. I could do this.
One of the things that people say that I struggle with a lot is kind of an insinuation that you don't really know what you want.
No.
And that you really can't make the decision whether you should travel or pick a family or what you need, that someone else maybe is strongly influencing you. They've even used the word coercing.
No.
Or that, someone else is making those decisions for you.
I can't see that, because a lot of us are already moms. We're adults. We make our own decisions. We make our own choices. Some of us are single moms, so we are faced with hard decisions on an everyday basis. So I think when it comes down to us making a decision, instead of it being, we're forced, it should be looked at as selfless. This person is doing something not a lot of people could do. It's a huge stigma around it, as you say, because people always assume, you didn't come to this decision by yourself, or someone is making you do this, instead of it just being, I'm doing what's best for me, and I'm doing what's best for my child. Mm-hmm. And no one else have to understand that besides you and the family.
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to block out that noise.
Sometimes you got to block out that noise. And sometimes
you have to.
A lot of noise. You go.
It is a lot of noise, but sometimes you just have to block it out. I know for me as a person, I don't believe in abortion. I would never consider it. I would never go through with it. It's never been an option for me. Mm-hmm. So when it comes down to it, you either have 2 choices: you parent or you adopt. Mm-hmm. So for me, it would just always be adopt.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm doing something for somebody else that sometimes they may never get that chance to do it.
Yeah. So another argument people make is they'll go, you left Philadelphia or Pennsylvania just because you didn't want to deal with the birth father.
No. No. I don't even think that has a bearing on it. And me and Sharon was talking about this yesterday as we were signing the paper. And she was like, sometimes that shouldn't be a question because it's like invasive or it's too private. But no, I don't think it has anything to do with it because, it's your body, your choice. And in a lot of states, you have the right to either name the father or you have a right to your own privacy and choose not to name the father. So it just all depends on where you are. And I've seen plenty of people that have had the support of both the birth mom and the birth father, where they both decided, this is we're both choosing adoption is for us. So I think the insinuation that people are hiding it from the birth father or they're leaving their estates so like the birth father doesn't know, I don't think that that's true.
What's the story with the birth father in your case?
In my case, it was just basically I was in New York for my aunt's bachelorette party, and it was just a one-time thing. didn't really know the person's name, tried to find them afterwards. Like, I always try to do my due diligence. Like, if I don't know the person, then try to find the person. And if I can't, and I know I've exhausted all resources, then I did what I could.
You got to move on.
You have to move on. But the insinuation that a lot of birth mothers try to avoid that, I don't think is necessarily true.
So, what advice would you give? I'm going to have you give advice to several people. One is other birth moms faced with the decision like you were faced with. What advice would you give them?
I would say definitely be certain in your decision. Definitely take time to think about it and make sure that you are doing it. I know for me, from the moment I may find out I'm pregnant, I definitely take some time and think about it before I reach out to anyone, whether it's an agency. I definitely take my time to figure out what I want to do for myself and what's best for me and my child before I do anything else. So I would say take as much time as you need. Don't feel rushed. Don't feel like you have to make a decision based on anyone else. Just definitely take time, think about it again. If you think that's what you want to do, take another day, a week, and think about it just so that you are sure.
Yeah. And what advice would you give other agencies that are trying to provide good services to women in your situation?
I would say definitely listen to what is best for them. I know sometimes it's hard when, especially around this situation, I know sometimes that it's hard when people have their own beliefs or what they would do, what they would want to do, what they believe in, what they would do on a day-to-day. And sometimes you have to take a step back from that and take out the personal and separate it and just be there for that person. You may not understand. And I tell people all the time, you may not understand it, you may not agree with it, but at the end of the day, it's not about you. Even with the family, I know it's hard for them as well to just it's about making the decision for the birth mom, that she's put in the best space possible, emotionally, mentally, physically, to make her decision by herself without having any influence of anybody else.
And so I'm going to ask one question because now we're here. So the last question, what advice would you give to people trying to make policies around whether or not women should be able to travel to another state, whether or not the laws should be all the same or they should be different? What advice would you give there?
I would definitely say, again, my body, my choice, and not realize putting people in a box. And I know just for me, myself personally, I taught the hospital a huge lesson with just listening to the patient, because I knew I was going into labor. And even though they are like, we just checked you an hour ago, you're still the same hospital policy, we send you home. But everybody's body is not the same. You can't box everybody just in. And when I said I was going into labor and they told me to take a walk, and 2 minutes later, I was 6 centimeters.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody learned you definitely cannot have one policy based around millions of women. Everybody is different. Everybody is different. Everybody go through different things. The circumstances are different. So I think they need to actually take a look at the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm. And give you the agency and the self-determination that you want.
That you can make the right decisions for yourself, and not people up in Washington are making decisions for us, for our body, and we don't have any rights or any choices behind what we want to do, as if we're not capable to make those decisions for ourselves.
And that's what I think, like I said, that's what bugs me probably the more than anything, is that implication that you can't make this decision for yourself.
It's like we're good enough to pay taxes, we're good enough to work, but we're not good enough to make decisions for our body or our children on our own without a man telling us how it should be done. Yeah. Which sucks.
Thank you for being part of Choosing Adoption. I'm Donna Pope. You and your story matter. Visit choosingadoption.com to find resources, community, and encouragement for your unique journey. You are not alone. We are in this with you.